All right, it's Saturday morning. We're going to start off working on the small block 400 we're building. Got head gaskets, head studs, cylinder heads to put on this morning. So we'll see how it turns out. 400. Ready to rock and roll. We're going to start with a little bit of cleanup. Brake clean on a rag. Hopefully it'll cut any oil from installing the piston. Now before you go and make yourself mad, there's a pipe plug. And it needs to go right here before you put the cylinder head on. And it needs to go in there with pipe dope so it don't leak. That's an oil galley. If you forget that, you're gonna have one heck of an oil leak. And that's just one last preliminary clean. Make sure we ain't got no craziness on the deck surface. All right, I think we're good there. Start screwing in these head studs. ARP, we're gonna go big or go home. Probably go home. So there's two main reasons I'm doing head studs. My local machine shop told me they have pulled threads out of the block on head bolts for a 400 torquing them. And I don't want to have to go through repairing that. So if we can avoid that problem, I'm definitely going to try to. But we're also going for a lot of horsepower here, or a decent amount. 100 more than probably what it made the last time I built it. So we want to have a good clamp on the head gasket. Now there's going to be two shorter ones. If you've never installed cylinder heads on a small block Chevrolet, they go right here and right here. They're kind of the ones that get lost if they get a bunch of crud on top of them, a bunch of sludge. We'll install them next. The short ones always go on the bottom rail. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts to go on this top little zigzag right here. And then we get to clean up all this pipe dope. Now all 17 head bolts are installed, so we got to do a little cleanup on all this extra pipe dope. And the reason you put pipe dope on these studs is all these bolts go into water, and you don't want any extra coolant leaks, it could leak. Coolant could wake up the bolt and into your motor, or it could just leak externally. Best I can. That's just probably as good as it's gonna get. So we'll grab our head gasket. I'm gonna just take a little break-in oil, put it on the pistons. And before we fire this thing up, I am going to put another couple squirts of oil in there to make sure everything's well lubricated. We don't want to burn nothing up on startup. All right, now we're going to drop on the cylinder head. I'll put the head on and then tell you a little about it. All right, didn't want to drop it that hard, but that's how we ended up. So this is a Summit Racing cylinder head. They call it like their knockoff double hump, and it's 202 and 160 intake and exhaust valves. It's good to like 500-ish lift. When I bought these heads, they were like $300 and some a piece, and now they're like $600 and some a piece. But with these factory head gaskets, they will probably not last very long. So when the time comes, we're going to upgrade to some aluminum heads and head gaskets. Me and a couple of my friends have talked about it. We figure these stock head gaskets are good for about 10 pounds of boost. And that's probably all I want to do with this motor with stock rods and such as that. So now we'll go to installing the nuts and washers and get this booger torqued down. All right, so I have lost the instructions for this head stuff kit, which doesn't surprise me at all. But according to their website, you need ARP lube on both sides of the washer and on the threads. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Double stack these washers. All right, now we'll install these nuts, and they torque down to 80 foot-pounds, and we're going to do it in kind of a sequence. All right, we're gonna run these down in steps. I'm gonna run it down 30 foot-pounds, and then probably 50 foot-pounds, and then do the final torque of 80. How I kind of do it is just kind of start in the middle and work my way out. There's a torque sequence to this, and it's pretty close. The main thing is you don't want to tighten one area down. You don't want to like tighten this side of the cylinder head down, and this side you won't have a good seal. You could also put something in a bind. All right, and those old John Denver said, sun's coming up, we got cakes on the griddle, it's time for breakfast. So we're gonna eat a little breakfast, then we're gonna finish torquing this cylinder head. Now we're gonna step it up to 50. Duster Dude 225 here, and I bet you nobody knows what I'm doing with these jar full of lifters here. It's Sunday morning. We're gonna finish up the valve train. Got a little teaser, bolted up the headers I'm gonna use on the run stand. I earlier asked a question, what do you think I'm doing with these lifters in this jar? Problem with oil. Just get some of that oil out of there. So all right, everything should be lubricated. We're gonna put a dab of this Comp Cam's sticky grease on the end of each lifter. All right, that's that. We have made a terrible mess. Now we're ready for push rods and rocker arms. All right. So I got to thinking, before I install these push rods, I want to get these rocker arms soaked in oil. Because I think these have a bearing inside them. And I don't want them bearings to fire up dry. So I'm going to soak, I guess 8 at a time, if I can do it. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to pour full of oil, let them sit for a little bit while I put the push rods in. We're going to use up all my Rotella I had set aside for other projects. We're going to start by adding a little assembly lube to all the lifters. Making sure we don't have any dry starts. Now what I was doing off camera that you couldn't see, I was just blowing some air through the push rods, making sure there's no trash, stopping anything up, and then I wipe it down one more time with a paper towel, just to make sure everything's good and clean. These have been soaked at the parts washer at work, and they've also been run through my ultrasonic cleaner. So they should be a gracious plenty clean. All right, now I'm going to soak the other 8 while I install these. Now we're going to add some assembly lube to each of the push rods. And each of the valve tips. I'm surprised that tube's lasted as long as it did. I might actually finish this motor with it. All right, one thing you always want to make sure of, there's a flat spot where your poly lock sits. You want to make sure you get that assembly lube all over your hand. One thing you want to make sure of, there's a flat spot where that poly lock is supposed to sit. So you need to make sure it's up. All right, now I'll clean up the other side of the push rods for the other side and get them installed and get the other rocker arms installed. and we'll start adjusting them. All right, finished off that tube of assembly lube. Now we can go and install the rocker arms. Start adjusting the valves. So now we're going to start adjusting number 1 cylinder. And I normally just run it down till I can't, till it gets tough to spin that push rod and go another half a turn. And then lock down my poly lock. There's a little set screw right in the center. All right, that's number 1. Now this ain't the quickest way to adjust them, but I pretty much just spun it around till number 3 was on the base circle. So in other words, both cam lobes are pointed down. I just turn it down by hand till I can't really turn the push rod easy no more. Now we'll move on to the passenger side, get it knocked out. So that's kind of the end of this video with the 400. Next week we'll probably be putting the intake and valve covers on it. And then we'll move on to breaking it in. Y'all be sure to tune in. I'm about to post a video, a short, about the oil pressure, seeing what kind of pressure it makes just not running. But that drills dead on the battery. So, anyways, y'all be sure to tune in next week. I'll have another video for y'all. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. I do enjoy reading your comments. Thank y'all for watching.